2020 Democrats and the media wasting no time on playing coronavirus politics. They're trashing President Trump over his administration's response to the deadly virus.
The coronavirus crisis is going to get much worse for Donald Trump.
Should Americans trust President Trump to deal with this crisis?
No. He is not prepared for a crisis like this. Our government is woefully ill-prepared, it seems, at least at this early stage.
No one takes the president's word for these things. He, at a minimum, exaggerates everything. And the idea that he's going to stand there and say, everything's fine, don't worry, who's going to believe that?
He will probably stay physically healthy throughout the crisis, but his mental health, which is weak on his best day, can only get much worse.
And here's President Trump calling out those smears at the White House earlier today.
I think that CNN is a very disreputable network. I think they're doing everything they can to instill fear in people, and I think it's ridiculous. Some of the Democrats are doing it the way it should be, but some of them are trying to gain political favor by saying a lot of untruths. So some people are giving us credit, quiet. Some people are giving us credit for that, and some people aren't. But the only ones that aren't, they don't mean it. It's political. It's politics.
So, Greg, the president declares a national health emergency. He restricts the travel on China. He brings local and federal health officials together. He organizes a task force. He asks for billions of dollars. He does the quarantines, accelerates the vaccines. What do the Democrats want him to do that he's not doing?
And they're actually not even getting to that place of offering an idea, like saying, here's what they can't even, because the fact is he did act so fast that it gave the hospitals time to prepare, and that's the most important thing. As you saw this emergency unfold, you saw CNN and you saw the New York Times get their bias mode going. You could see the obvious agenda before your eyes. Then when you point it out, right, what do? They accuse you of politicizing when you go, oh, Brian Stelter is like secretly saying, you know, oh, this could be it. And then Gail Collins saying, let's call it the Trump virus. When you accuse them and show their naked attempts at tying Trump to this, they go, oh, you're politicizing it. I mean, it's just, I can't use the language that I want to use to describe
Geraldo will.
But I will, because you can get away with it.
Geraldo, why do you think...
I'm feeding punks.
That's exactly right. So as Greg mentioned, you know, they said that the task force was too white. They said the travel restriction was xenophobic. You know, they said that they cut the CD funding. They never cut any CDC funding. And if you say you guys are politicizing it, they say, no, you're politicizing it. How does that make sense?
Anyone who exacerbates the fear, the real epidemic of fear, which is the real epidemic, not the virus yet in this country, is, like I said, a gutter feeding
Scumbag.
There you go. They really are. Scumbag is a good word. I'm going to read something.
Please.
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. 1933, FDR, first inaugural address. What we have now are politicians feeding fear. Politicians for their own temporary advantage, to cut the president in any way they can, to distinguish themselves from their rivals in this Democratic catfight. They say and do things that have helped tank the stock market. I've lost a fortune this week. It is very, very distressing.
But you had a fortune to lose.
But I mean, this is very, very unsettling. And anyone who is exacerbating the unease that the American people feel, shame on them, reject them. Reject them, they are nothing.
Oh, wow. I mean, to pixelate that.
No, we're live.
So you'd think this would be a time where news organizations would try to tell you the facts, give you the context, and not instill fear. But that's not what we're getting.
No, it's not. And to your point, this is exactly what turns people off about politics, is these guys using a public health crisis or a public health situation to advance their own careers, to further their own team. It's what makes people turn off those news organizations, because they need actual facts. I'm not getting my news from there. I'm not getting my actual facts. We're not getting here's, you wash your hands, you take these certain steps. the people at most risk are the infirm and the elderly. The average human will likely get it and won't be affected. I mean, there are things that are important to disseminate. Not that I'm the expert, but that I am responsible for transmitting accurate messaging and information. And to your point about the president, what else do we want our president to do? I would say take executive decisive action and then have a reassuring countenance, right? Do I want my president running around screaming like, we're all gonna die? No, I love that he was like, we're gonna be okay. And by the way, I've used my authority to take these actions that will ensure that the experts in the public health field in this country will secure that, will execute it accordingly.
We need a vaccine. That's the only politics that matter right now. We need a vaccine to reassure people. I mean, Japan's going broke. They've got the big Tokyo Olympics coming up. Eric and I had a Japanese trip planned for spring break.
Out of everything that happened, that might be the most tragic. Yes.
For all those travel plans, the travel industry is tanking.
Eric and I
People are going to be laid off. The supply chain of businesses.
Well, you know, Peloton, if you want to work out by yourself, not a bad call right now.
You're turning your back to me because of fear of contagion?
Or maybe
No,
because I
I'm trying to
haven't
pivot
spoken
to
yet.
Dana to give her a chance to speak.
I love the Peloton and I highly recommend it. There's no evidence for the criticism yet, right? So it's obviously nakedly political. The president said that some Democrats have been reasonable and nice and helpful, and one of them was Senator